All right, before we do the official welcome, I have to preface something. I don't gamble on sports, and if I did, I'd probably be pretty terrible at it. But let's try and forget that small detail and make some money, right? Welcome, everyone, to the CitrusTV studios for another episode of the best college sports betting show in the country, Beat the Bookie. I'm your host, Carson Fowler. Before we get to my bets, let's look at Jordan's picks from last week. I wasn't aware you could put yourself on your own show, but here we are. His biggest win, almost $10 on the spread. Ohio State, big win on the road at Penn State. His biggest loss, $10. Clemson against Louisville. Total profits, 25. The overall record, 6-3. Not bad. Here's the overall standings. Austin Barrick, AB, on October 11th, leads all profits, $104. Tyler Aiken at the bottom, early, late September, minus 33. My roommate, Sean Dempsey, top three in the standings, $46. Not too bad there. Skylar Wilkes, second at 95, nearly $96 in profit. Now, need I say more? Roll the music. Let's get to our big games of the week.
Jerry, you better yell! Show me the money! Show me the money!
All right, we'll kick things off in Oxford, Mississippi, where number 2 Georgia is making its way over to McCormick's for a date with the number 16 team in the country in Ole Miss. For the record, McCormick's is the number 1 rated bar and restaurant on Ole Miss's campus, but we're not here to booze, we're here to bet. Since 2019, the same year that Ole Miss hired Lane Kiffin as its next head coach, the Rebels have gone 7-9 against ranked opponents, but more importantly, they have not won a game against an SEC opponent that is top 5. And I'm not saying it all falls on the head coach, but it's hard to argue with the results, especially when there's money on the line, and there is. That being said, though, here's the catch-22. Georgia quarterback Carson Beck, with a clean pocket, has a near 90-point Pro Football Focus passing grade. But when he's pressured, that number drops to 30 points. Oh, and let's not forget that Ole Miss has the best pass rusher in the country, 41 total sacks this season. Give me the Rebels to pick up an upset win on Saturday, $10 down on Ole Miss, plus 2.5 against Georgia at home. Staying in the conference where it just means more, 11th ranked Alabama on the road at number 15 LSU. I'll get to my pick quickly. I'm riding with the Tide. Alabama has one of the best secondaries in college football. They're led by Malachi Moore, Damani Jackson, and Keon Saab. I think those three guys overwhelm LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, force him to make bad decisions when throwing the football. Another thing, the Tigers have struggled for much of this year against mobile quarterbacks. I mean, look at what Texas A&M quarterback Marcel Reed did against LSU 2 weeks ago. 9 rush attempts, 62 yards, and 3 scores in 1 half. Nothing about what I just said leads me to believe that LSU's defense is going to do anything well against Alabama dual-threat quarterback Jalen Milroe. Oh, also the leader among Power 5 quarterbacks in rushing touchdowns with 12. $15 on Alabama, minus 2.5 against LSU in Death Valley. Now, I don't think anyone expected this next game to be anything worth watching before the season started. The 9th and 11th ranked teams in the Big 12 preseason poll, and boy were the media wrong there. Texas Tech versus 20th ranked Colorado at Jones AT&T Stadium on Saturday. Tech is coming off its biggest win of the season, a 24-23 win on a last-second score against an undefeated and 11th ranked Iowa State team on its own turf. Oh, and in the pouring rain, if you didn't watch the game. But I think that momentum ends against the Buffs in Lubbock. Colorado is among the top teams in the country at throwing the football more than 320 yards per game to be exact. Oh, and Texas Tech is among the worst teams in college football at stopping the pass. Actually, looking at the numbers, they're not among the worst, they're the second worst, behind only Tulsa. I think a healthy dose of Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders and wide receiver Travis Hunter should be enough for the Buffs to handle the Red Raiders on the road. And I'm so confident in this pick, I've got $25 down on Colorado, minus 3.5 at Texas Tech. Let's look and see what the C-Suite has to say. Okay, so I got Ole Miss, Bama, Colorado. They've basically said, screw that. We've only picked you on Colorado. The C-Suite is 13-14. The hosts are 16-11. Oh my God, look at that picture. Good Lord. What is that from? Oh, it's like the health mask, the Theragun like health mask. Let's get to my best bets. Enough of college football. Let's talk some hoops. Starting with FanDuel's, quote, big matchup on campus, number 9, North Carolina, on the road at number 1, Kansas. 2 of college basketball's biggest blue bloods meet for the first time since 2022 when the Jayhawks took down the Tar Heels 72-69 in the national championship. There's going to be a lot of talent on James Naismith Court on Friday. The Big 12 preseason player of the year in Hunter Dickinson, the ACC preseason player of the year in RJ Davis, the reigning Big 12 defensive player of the year in DeJuan Harris, and 3 5-star recruits in the class of 2024 in North Carolina's Ian Jackson and Drake Paul, and Kansas's Flory Badunga. He went 6 for 6 in Kansas's opener. But here's what did it for me. It's hard to win on the road in college basketball. Everyone knows that. It's even harder to do it at Allen Fieldhouse. Listen to this. Under Bill Self, Kansas is 308-17 on its home court. Did you hear me correctly? 308-17. Hubert Davis, terrific coach for North Carolina. And I'm not discrediting anything he's done the last 3 years in Chapel Hill. But Allen Fieldhouse, it's something else. Coach Davis spoke with the media yesterday and said it himself. He said, quote, "It's different. Allen Fieldhouse has its own unique atmosphere that none of our guys have seen before." I've heard enough. $10 down on Kansas -7.5. I've also got $15 on the over at 154 points. And just because I don't sports bet, $5 down on North Carolina, first to 10 points. I don't know, call it a hunch. I think the Heels come out swinging, but 40 minutes in the fog ultimately proves to be too much. Rock chalk. Okay, let's get to my future bet. If you caught any of the Finley Auto tip-off Monday night, I don't think it's by any means at all to say, it's by no means a stretch at all, rather, to say that number 6 Gonzaga, legit. A 38-point annihilation of the 8th best team in the country in the Baylor Bears, the Zags' biggest margin of victory over a top 10 opponent in program history. Now, I know what you all are thinking. He's about to put a future down on the Zags to win it all, and that's not a bad guess, considering I picked Gonzaga to win my bracket 4 of the last 5 years. I've also won no money 4 of the last 5 years. But no, I'm not putting a future down on the Zags to win the NCAA tournament. It's November. March is a long ways away, and anything can happen in March, and I guess in early April. But what I do like is Gonzaga plus 135 to win the battle for Atlantis later this month. The Zags team is extremely deep. They're led by 4 seniors in Nolan Hickman, Michael Ajayi, transferred from Pepperdine, Graham Ike, and Ryan Nemhard. They were all named to the All-WCC preseason team. Players as well. Gonzaga is already the favorite to win the Feast Week tournament in the Bahamas. Their greatest threats are number 10 Arizona and number 17 Indiana. I've heard enough. $10 down on the Bulldogs to leave paradise with some hardware. Let's look at some of the other guys. Future picks. Jake Morrell, Caleb Williams to be the rookie leader in pass yards. That is a ridiculous, ridiculous future bet. Has he not seen Jake Williams play? Oh my God, his second bet's even more ridiculous. The Bears to be Super Bowl champs. I gotta know when he went on this show, because man, I hope they were something else before what they are now. Boise State and BYU to make the college football playoff. Andrew Sullivan and Skylar Wilkes. I'm a fan of that. Sean Dempsey. The Lions to win the NFC North. Interesting pick. I don't know if I agree with it, but it could definitely happen. And then Jordan Leonard, Rutgers to win the Big Ten regular season. They have the number 2 2024 recruiting class. I don't hate it. Let's get to my parlay. We'll get back to college football for this guy. Here's the first leg. South Carolina at Vanderbilt. Give me Doors money line at plus 158. Listen, I understand South Carolina's coming off that big 44-20 win over 10th-ranked Texas A&M, but Vandy is no longer the get-right game in the SEC anymore. They're 4-1 at home this season, the lone loss coming against number 5 Texas by a field goal. This is going to be a game won on the ground, and I think Vandy's run defense trumps South Carolina's run offense. I mean, look at these logos. This Vanderbilt logo. How could you not pick against this Vanderbilt logo? All right, this next pick shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, if you know me. Michigan against undefeated and 8th-ranked Indiana. I like the Hoosiers at -13.5 against the Wolverines. I'm tailing Jordan Leonard. He picked against the Wolverines last week. I'm from Ohio. My brother goes to Ohio State. And any opportunity I have to pick against Michigan, I'm taking it. Indiana's looked unbeatable against the middle of the pack in the Big Ten under Curt Cignetti. And I don't think a mediocre Michigan team that can barely throw the football is changing that. I mean, wait, hold on. That's a Hoosier? That's not a Hoosier. I mean, that's obviously a Wolverine. It's an iconic logo. That's a bull. What is this? They're the Hoosiers. Okay, that's a story for another day. All right, for the last leg of the parlay, I like 17th ranked Iowa State minus 2.5 on the road at Kansas. The Cyclones are 7-1, and their lone loss came last week against Texas Tech, a team I picked against earlier in the show. Iowa State, it's a great football team. They came out on the wrong end of a rainy football game by a single point. The Cyclones are among the best teams in college football at keeping opponents out of the red zone. They allow less than 16 points per game. Both of these football teams run the football well, note that, but only one throws the football at a decent rate, and I'll give you a hint, it's the team spread that I'm picking. I think Iowa State bounces back in a big way against a 2-6 Kansas team. They're going to roll them in Lawrence. All right, 3-leg parlay, Vanderbilt money line, Indiana minus 13.5, and Iowa State minus 2.5. $10 to win $76. I think this is a great bet. Maybe. Again, I don't sports bet. I keep prefacing that. But quickly, before we run out of time, let's recap my bets from Beat the Bookie. The number 2 team in the country in Georgia at number 16, Ole Miss, $10 down. I got Ole Miss plus 2.5. Be a big win for Lane Kiffin and his program against a really good Georgia squad led by Kirby Smart. Next bet, $15 on Alabama minus 2.5 at number 14 LSU. I think Brian Kelly's going to have another meltdown post-game when he loses at home to the Crimson Tide. And then $25 down, like the graphic is, I'm putting a lot of trust in Jador Sanders in Colorado. Number 21 Colorado, minus 3.5 at Texas Tech. And then my last bet here on the first full screen, $10, number 1 Kansas, minus 7.5 versus number 19 North Carolina. Number 9 North Carolina, rather. I've got a few other bets in that game. Number 1 Kansas versus number 9 North Carolina. I got the over in that game as well, 154 points. Both these teams like to push the pace of play. I don't think teams really settle into defense as early on in the season. $15 there. And then this is just kind of like a rat race bet, I guess. Just was thinking, I got $5 extra. Why not? North Carolina raised to 10 points at plus 132, $5. Really interesting bet. They scored 11 points in 2 minutes in their opener. Not against Kansas, but who knows? My last 2 bets. My future bet, Gonzaga to win the battle for Atlantis, $10 at plus 135. They just got to get past West Virginia, Arizona, and Indiana, most likely. And my last bet, my parlay, $10, Vanderbilt plus 158. And then I got Indiana minus 13.5 and Iowa State minus 2.5. It'd be $10 to win $68. I think that's a super decent bet. I'm not a great bettor, but who knows? Well, let's try it. Well, that'll pretty much do it. Tail my bets or not. Honestly, I probably wouldn't. And if you're gambling at it, call 1-800-GAMBLER. They'll refer you to someone that can help. But remember, it's like George Clooney said in Ocean's 11. You play long enough, you never change the stakes. The house takes you, unless when that perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house. Have a good one, Syracuse.